understeering, but if I give it a little throttle, we go into a nice little skid. Barely on it, and it's just skidding around. Howdy and welcome. Today we have the M340. This is Calvin. Calvin has been on the channel before.
Hello.
A couple of times. He's gone from an M240 to an M340. What year is this?
24.
24, so it's the LCI, but it's not the LCI 2.0.
Correct.
Side note, LCI is Life Cycle Impulse. It's basically a facelift for BMW. It's just their fancy coin phrase of saying it. This has already had a facelift, but they're doing a second facelift, which is very weird. And I'm not really sure why. But anyways, BMW doing BMW things. Good job, BMW. We love you guys. The performance package, and we have Bridgestone Run Flats, the Turanzas. These are 320 treadwear. They're okay. They're not going to be anything crazy, but they're not all seasons.
The LCD.
LSD?
LSD.
Okay.
I don't know how to talk right now.
I have the LCD screen in here. That's massive. Yes, we have that. No, he's talking about the LSD. All right. How are we playing Creed? Hope I don't get demonetized for this, but it's funny because I was playing Creed on the way to the track this morning and just blaring it. So the fact that he's listening to Creed is, it's a Creed weekend. I mean, look how beautiful it is outside. Traction control, we're gonna do DSC off, so it's gonna be the halfway mode. Sport Plus. Scared, I haven't driven a BMW in a while. Quick aside, I've driven plenty of these cars. I know the chassis dynamics, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this. This is a great car for those who like old school M cars. The reason why is because you have a performance motor. The B58 is plenty. Second of all, you have an LSD, and then you have like a pretty aggressive body kit. That's all the M cars used to be back in the day. We're gonna wait for tan. Let's go chase after tan. Grip is kind of there. But we gotta warm up, so we're gonna be warming up a little bit. Is there a lap timer? I forgot. Ooh, so you can get a little slip, so I just powered out of that corner there. Maybe has the power, so we're understeering, but if I give it a little throttle, we go into a nice little skid. Barely on it, and it's just skidding around. All right, I'm not gonna do that all the time, sorry. I'm not gonna do that all the time, I just wanted to give you an example of the power skid out here. This thing likes to power slide, and that's what I love about these chassis is they're so well balanced. The wheelbase is really, sorry, not wide. The wheelbase is really long to where you can just control slides. I don't know what I'm trying to get at with that, but you can whenever, oh my God, I can't talk right now. Whenever you have a car that has a longer wheelbase, it typically has an easier time when controlling skids. Which is what this car has. Whew. Lordy, this thing is quick. A little bit of understeer, that's fine. We'll just get back on the throttle. Power through, and that's the beauty of having an LSD. Oh, here comes Scott. Here comes Scott and his M2. Come on, Scott, you got my little blinker thing. Just like teeter on the line of drift and also rotation, because if you're not on the throttle in this car, it's not rotating. So it encourages you to get on the throttle. I haven't really found the limits of the brakes yet, but so far so good. Yeah, literally like on throttle and it just like goes. This car surprisingly likes to dance quite a bit. I was not expecting it to be this dancey. Not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Great thing. Spit on that thing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop. Little log there. I shifted and it was like, let me think about it. I always talk about BMW chassis and how taut they are. This is no exception. Nice and stiff. Still have low tire pressure. There it is. I was gonna say we should have now. These tires should be nice and heated up. Peaking out at 106 there is insane. It's insane. Going back to the philosophy of old M cars, this is great because it's plenty speed. It's not like crazy fast. It is extremely fast, but it's not like ungodly fast like the new M cars. The new M cars are just so fast. Oh, we almost hit 110 there. Woo, baby. Front end's biting whenever I get back on the throttle, which is interesting. Oh, that weight transfer's nice. I like that weight transfer. This is just a good sedan. It's a good performance sedan. Okay, all right. We're sorry to your recording over there. we're getting to the point where the tires are getting hot. So, okay. So impressions. This is an awesome car. I haven't driven one of these in a while, and it's just very refreshing to get back in one of these and just pick up like riding a bicycle. Like, I know how these chassis handle. I know what they're capable of. I've never tracked one of these cars, but I have driven them pretty profusely aggressive on the street. As some of you may know, this is moderately aggressive automotive content, which is every day for me. I gotta say, the car communicates very well. I don't know if they did anything to tune the steering up a little bit, but it is EPS. I like the steering. It has good weight to it. A little bit more. Yeah, the M240 was a little bit more loose. The thing is, they could be the same tuning or very close, but the M240 just has a shorter wheelbase. And yeah, the steering's actually really good for EPS. It's heavy. It's not over boosted heavy, but you can definitely tell it's not real steering. Throttle response, the engine, always good. V58's always a fantastic motor. Very kickish on throttle, as in the ass end will kick right away. So it generates really good low end torque. Boost comes on very quickly. Gotta love new turbo technology. I just love B58s, and I can't wait to become a very large YouTube channel and swap a B58 into an older BMW, because that's something I want to do. Please subscribe. Please help me. I'm poor. I want to bring you guys good content. These tires actually weren't as bad as I thought they would be. They do feel a little bit plasticky, as in very stiff, and that's usually the case with run flat tires. Is they run flat tires. They're resilient. However, they don't have a whole lot of give, and this is what you get. But you can get to your destination if you've got a nail in the tire, and it's totally fine. So Calvin, give me your take on the comparison of the M240 compared to the M340.
You know, it's kind of tough to pick. I loved my 240 so much. It was the greatest daily that has the best of both worlds with sportiness. You get looks in the 240 like nobody's business. The 340 is just a little bit more subdued. So I knew I still wanted my B58. I loved the power. Didn't need any mods as I was looking at it. Custom built that 240 for that. Custom built this one. Custom ordered it. Everything like that. Shout out Curtis. He's the man.
Good job, Curtis.
It came down to the point where the only reason why I got the 340 was 4 doors. I hated being the reason why I couldn't be the host. And that's the personality of me. And so it just kind of sucked having 2 back seats that were barely functional. Fit 6 people in that 240. Don't ask me how.
Oof.
But the 340 is just, it allows me to do a lot more things and do it a lot more comfortably.
So what you're saying is 4 doors, more homies.
Yes.
Yes, not the other one.
Kids your mind out of the gutter, kids. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't. I mean, you can keep your mind in the gutter. I'm not here to be a vanilla content channel. I'm here to be weird. But 4 doors, more homies.
Yes.
So overall, you prefer the M340?
Yes. As far as comfortability wise, absolutely. Every day that I see a 2 Series, and especially when I saw that G-Body M2, I was like, dang, I kind of miss my car.
You hesitated there for a moment, and that is because you missed the fun aspect.
Yes.
Okay.
I grew out of my coupe.
You're getting older. It's a gentleman's sedan, but still very playful. This is every bit as capable as the M240.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me destroy your tires. Welcome. Let's talk the M340 a little bit more in detail and throw it on a tier list. I want to start off by saying thank you so much to Calvin for letting me thrash another one of his cars. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you supporting my shenanigans. Let's chat about the drivetrain real quick and get this out of the way just because it's such an easy thing for me to talk about. I can't stress enough how good the B58 motor is. This case, it's mated to the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission with a torque converter, and you have the mild hybrid system for the newer models, which kind of acts like a KER system, a little bit of an e-boost type of thing. With the e-boost, the low end is very snappy, there's no turbo lag whatsoever, and the power band itself is very linear, it never dies off, and it just keeps going. It's just a truck of a motor. As I grow this channel, I hope to reinvest and eventually take a B58 and drop it into either an E36 or maybe even an E46. So if you like seeing that kind of content, please subscribe, like, help me grow a little bit more just so I can reinvest and bring you some awesome builds that you can watch and live through vicariously. The ZF 8-speed is a great transmission. It's very snappy on upshifts. Downshift, it is a little bit laggy, but it's gotten a lot better over time. You don't really need dual clutch anymore with how good the system is, and I'm sure that there's some sort of transmission tuning you can do to make it even better. The suspension is multi-link typical suspension from BMW, and it does have the M performance dampers, and it does a great job keeping the car pretty flat. There wasn't a whole lot of roll in the chassis. One area to tell is whenever you're coming uphill and then you kind of weight transfer to the other side. You can definitely tell a car's dynamics going through that section right there because the weight transfer is pretty sudden, so you can definitely feel that there's some roll. But in the M340 is very compliant, very manageable. You didn't really upset the chassis with quick weight transfer, so it's a good setup for the suspension. The steering's really good. It's, for me, very weighted. For BMWs, I like BMWs with really heavy steering, like the old E90s and the old E82 series. People complained back in the day that that hydraulic system, wasn't EPS, was very heavy and is very hard to turn and parallel park. The M340 steering is reminiscent of those kind of BMWs. It's got a good weight to it in Sport Plus. I didn't try out Comfort, but I'm pretty sure it's nice and slacked up for you when you just want to just cruise around. But overall, decent feedback. It felt good. There wasn't like a whole lot of talk through the steering wheel, which is fine. I expect these things from these cars. The M Performance brakes, good enough. I never got any fade. I didn't really push the car hard enough to try and get fade. I think it's a 4-pot system in the front. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. However, it does a good job on track. The only recommendation I can make if you're gonna track these cars profusely is always get a higher temp brake fluid. Otherwise, it's good if you're newer to the track. You're able to take it to the track and not worry about not having any brakes, which is the most important thing to have on a track. Typical thing with new BMWs is driving with the chassis, and the M340 is a very stout chassis. It communicates very well. I knew where the limit of grip and drift was pretty much the whole time. It's not gonna be a sudden change. It's a fairly chunky car weighing in at 3,850 pounds, but if you look up the stats, the M240 rear-wheel drive is only about 100 pounds less. With the M340, you get 2 more doors, a longer wheelbase at 112 inches, which will provide a little bit more stability. It's not as playful or dancey as the M240, but the M340 can still party. Overall, the M340 is an awesome car. I've always said when I used to work at BMW, if they ever made the M340 in a manual transmission, I probably would still have one to this day. As I said on track, it's like a pseudo M car. You have a quick motor, you have an LSD, and you have like a little bit more of an aggressive looking body kit. That's basically what an M car used to be. Yes, I know it's a B58, not the S58. However, there's such good motors nowadays. Don't let that B deter you away and become an S stand. It doesn't matter. It's a great motor, plenty fast. The M Performance LSD is very good. It definitely lets you know when it's locked up and ready to drift at any moment's notice. Not hard to drift this car whatsoever. When I was driving it, it was always kind of teetering on the limit of, hey, I could just floor it and get sideways, control this and slide through. But again, I didn't want to mess up Calvin's tires, because the last time I drifted the whole track for a few laps back in the M340 drift video, I ended up shredding up Calvin's tires really bad and he had to get them replaced pretty much immediately. This is what they look like. Sorry, Calvin. But that's the ether of these cars. They're just so much fun. It's a gentleman's sideshow car. Cohesively, everything is tuned so well to where you can track them, you can drift them, and then you can just cruise them. In this car, you can get around 32 miles per gallon if you wanted to. I love the predictability of the M340, the M240, and the new M cars. They're awesome, amazing cars, and they make you feel like a superhero. Those of you considering the M Performance line versus the M line, if you can swing the M line, sure, go for it. But if you want to grow a little bit, the M Performance line is all you need. The M cars themselves nowadays are so ungodly, insanely fast. Nobody needs that. But when you get to a certain point, you get to a threshold, you taste the limit, and you're like, okay, I want more. Go for the M car. The tunability of M cars is endless. You can build something that's just a crazy supercar killer or an insane track weapon, or both if you wanted to. M340 aftermarket's still there. I'm telling you, M Performance owners, don't be ashamed it's not an M car. You have something that's special. In closing, I had a great time with the M340. Its flaws are there. I mean, it could have been the tires as well, but the understeer is definitely there. Whenever you're plowing into a corner under braking, it would just kind of step forward. However, you can counteract that just by mashing back on the gas and get it to rotate. So you definitely need to be set up for corners properly before you enter them and gradually get on the throttle in order to rotate out. If you're not on throttle and you're taking a set in a corner and you start actually turning in without weight transfer properly, you're gonna understeer pretty bad in this car. But if you drive these cars with the ethos of Colin McRae, if in doubt, flat out, you're not gonna have a bad time. When you find the limits, it's a balancing act, but it's still a lot of fun. It'll teach you to be a really good driver. And if you want to go to a drift event with one of these cars, man, you're gonna look like a hero. Let's pop this bad boy on a tier list. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this behind the GR86 into B tier. Why behind the GR86? Because I'm biased. I love JDM cars. I love JDM cars and I love BMWs. I love JDM cars a little bit more than BMW, most of the time. But putting my bias aside, Yusef's GR86 was set up very well. It already had coilovers on it. The tires were pretty decent and it was just a fun, simple car. Whereas you have the M340, it was a little bit of a sweaty time trying to drive it properly and on the limit. Again, probably the tires, which is totally fine. That's a run flat thing. That's not an M340 thing. But if you put some performance tires in the M340, it might be a totally different ball game. It could be in front of the GR86. So tell me, are you considering buying an M340? Are you thinking about tracking your M340? What are your thoughts on where I placed the M340? Do you agree with me that M Performance line is pretty much like older M cars in terms of all you need? Thank you so much for getting this far. If you like driving fast and you like cars and you like driving cars fast, please subscribe and like, help support me, and I'll make it worth your while, if you know what I mean. Until next time, bye.
Be sure to like and subscribe.